Hello YouTube, this is Alexis, the Transgender Duelist, and today I'm going to be bringing you a deck showcase slash duel video. So this isn't going to be anything particularly special, it's just going to be showing a duel against Qliphort against ABC. I believe my opponent gets to start, I get to go first, so I'm going to go ahead and start the duel off while I just ramble a little bit. So my opening hand isn't anything particularly amazing. Like I have the Astrograph, I have the Wavering Eyes, I have the Summoner's Art, so I have a lot of ways to get to Qliphort's Scout and to extend my plays. And so what I want to say here, oh yeah, so my opponent does have a really good opening hand. I believe he's going to end up ending on a what's that card called? Under Clock Taker plus a ABC Buster Dragon. He does misplay a little bit with the ABC Buster Dragon, but I just decided to show this duel off because I wanted to show that Qliphorts can have a fighting chance against today's meta decks, even though I think we can all agree that Qliphorts are definitely far past their prime. Like, I think Konami's probably going to give them Scout back to like 2 and then eventually 3 in the upcoming ban list, but that's just an assumption. Don't take that to heart. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up just a little bit. So as you can see, he's just going through all of his standard plays. He has the Strudo into Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy Dragon will go ahead and pop the field spell, which will go ahead and give him the what's the card called? I think it's Dragon Trevine or something like that. Also, my opponent doesn't know how this Strudo works. I have to actually tell him that it's supposed to go on the bottom of the deck because it says, well, I mean, you can't see the card text, but it says that it has to be placed on the bottom of the deck, and it doesn't, and the deck isn't shuffled. So, if I remember, I'll put the Strudo's effect in the top corner of the screen. If not, just look up the card. You'll see what I'm talking about right there. Like, okay, let me go ahead and speed forward a little bit so I can get to my turn because I want to go through my thought process. So he uses the effect of B and C in order to add another B from his deck and special summon the A out of his hand. So now he has all 3 copies of his ABC Buster Dragon into the graveyard, which will allow him to go ahead and special summon the ABC Buster Dragon whenever he desires. First, he's going to add the Dragon Trevine. I believe he pitches a B from, no, oh yeah, he has the random Ojama Magic in his deck. I'll be honest, I have no idea why he's running Ojama Magic. If I had to assume it's because of the new Ojama support, but like I don't really know how much that helps out ABCs. Like it maybe makes it a little bit more consistent, but at the same time you have to run at least 4 cards that don't really do anything until your deck gets going. So I think it like helps out with bricking a little bit. Let me know what you guys think about Ojamas in ABCs in the comments because I definitely don't agree with it, but I can definitely see at the very least the reasoning for it, but I don't think it helps out the deck enough to actually warrant deck space, you know? Because you have to run the Dragon Trevine, you have to run the, what's that pendulum monster called? The Supreme King one, I forget the name. Supreme King Dragon Darkworm, I think. You have to run like 1 copy of that at least, sometimes 2. You have to run 3 copies of Dragon Shrine, you have to run the, okay, I'll get onto that later. So as you can see, I have the Sacrifice, I have Summoner's Art, Wavering Eyes, Astrograph. So before I actually get started, my first thought is I have to find a way to play around the ABC Buster Dragon. So I've decided the best way to do that is to start with my Pendulum Scales, since there's only 2 things that he would do here. He'd immediately ABC Buster Dragon one of the scales, think I'm trying to Pendulum summon out Tribute Fodder, which it would be the worst option for him. The second option would be that he goes ahead and waits for me to do something and then uses ABC Buster Dragon to interrupt it, which is what I tried doing with the Wavering Eyes here. I end up waiting like 20 seconds. My opponent never says anything, so I just activate the Wavering Eyes. And then he decides to say wait, even though I waited a pretty long period of time. Like, I'll bring up the log real quick. Here you go. Like, I say K, and then about 22 seconds later, I activate the Wavering Eyes. Like, that's way more than enough time for my opponent to say anything. So I just go ahead, he activates ABC Buster Dragon, banishing the low scale, which is okay. Like, I definitely wouldn't have activated ABC Buster Dragon there yet. I would have waited for the scout, because if you can get rid of the scout, the entire deck just kind of flops. So that was kind of the big misplay I think my opponent made, but at the same time he didn't really have the knowledge of what my hand was. Like, if he knew I had the astrograph in my hand, he probably wouldn't have activated the ABC Buster Dragon there, but it's a little bit too late for that. So from here, I go ahead and activate the astrograph, which will give me a copy of the cephalopod, which I will then normal summon in order to link summon out the heavy metal foes electromite. I forget what I do with heavy metal foes electromite. Oh, yeah, I believe I go ahead and just put another pendulum in my extra deck to pendulum summon, but I can't remember for sure. Speed it up to where I'm going. Yeah. So I summon out heavy metal foes electromite, who I then get to go ahead and use the effect to put another. No, that goes to my extra deck. Why is it in my hand? Did I make any legal play? Yeah, I did. Wait, let me check. Yeah, I made an illegal play. Okay, well, I guess at the end of the day, it would have been the same thing. I just would have had to play it slightly differently. But yeah, I guess that's one thing you end up doing there is I accidentally add the monolith to my hand instead of putting it into the extra deck. So I just decided to pendulum summon out 3 monsters, which I would have been able to do even if I had put that thing in my hand, as I just would have simply added a different thing to my hand. So from here, I decided to go ahead and use Heavy Metal Foes to pop the Qliphort Scout and add it to my hand, which I then go ahead and place the Scout into my back into my Pendulum Zone in order to grab a Qliphort Shell from my deck to my hand. So there's 2 reasons why I do this. 1, because I want to get another use out of the Scout, and 2, because I know that if I don't play around the ABC Buster Dragon defusing, since if I don't summon out Shell, he'll just, go ahead and do that. I'll just keep going through for a moment. I'll explain it when I get there. I use the effect to get laser equipped. That way I can now perform another normal summon. I tribute off the cephalopod and the shell to summon out a Qliphort Shell. Qliphort Shell will then get the ability to attack twice, be unaffected, all that good stuff. I then activate Sacrifice on the Qliphort Shell, which means that my opponent is now in a situation where they really only have 2 options. One is to let me attack over both of their monsters and then attack for game with the Link monster and the cephalopod, and the other option, which is what he actually ends up doing, is to go ahead and defuse with the ABC Buster Dragon, and then I just attack over the, what's it called? I think it's called A Assault Core, and then attack over his Underclock Taker to attack for game. So no matter what my opponent did here, he had no way to win this game, and that's basically the end of it there. Let me know what you guys think. Should I ever actually upload a duel where I just accidentally make a completely legal play, which kind of alters the ending just a little bit? Or do you think this is perfectly fine because it is just for entertainment purposes in the long run? Anyway, this has been Alexis, the Transgender Duelist, and I'm signing out.